Hey there, Internet friends. Welcome to another episode of That Nerdy Site Show, weekly podcast where the team members from That Nerdy Site get together to talk about our lives and all of the nerdy things we love about them. I'm your host, Trevor Starkey, and joining me once again this week, Cameron Abbott. How you doing, Cam?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's going on is I'm about to head off to Disney again for the next few days, but actually, when this episode drives, I may or may not already be on my way. I probably won't be leaving that early tomorrow morning, but I'll be more or less on the road the day this drops. So yeah, we're just going to be, and we don't have like a ton of new stuff to really chat about this week. So it might be on the shorter side of things. Who knows? Famous last words. I feel like every time we say that. But I did go see The Fall Guy today with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. So I'll share some thoughts on that, spoiler free and all that stuff. And then the Fallout show that we did a spoiler cast on a couple weeks ago has basically just gotten Cam and I into the Fallout games. So Cam's been playing a lot of Fallout New Vegas. I've been playing a lot of Fallout 4. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about, kind of revisiting those games all these years later. So yeah, stay tuned for that. If you like what you hear, please remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, share the podcast with your friends, all that fun stuff. So starting off, with The Fall Guy, I reached out. I mentioned to you, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about going to see this today. And you were like, I'm gonna sit this one out. You want to see it, just weren't up for it today. All good. But yeah, I went and saw it. And I mentioned to you that this may have been the last time I venture out to our old standby, the Majestic Theaters, which used to be our local Alamo draft houses before they basically dropped the Alamo license during the pandemic, because Majestic has done away with the order card setup, and now they just have QR codes at every seat, and you're basically scanning your QR code and then ordering through the link it takes you to. And so if you want to reorder or order more stuff during the movie, you are actively being encouraged to pull out your phone and stuff. So I was like, I don't like this at all.
Nope.
And also the element that I mentioned where it seems like it probably was a cost-cutting measure for staff, where there's just not nearly as many bodies needed pre-movie to do that. So that was disappointing.
If they ever did it where they were like, oh no, it's more of a hybrid system, you put in your order this way, you can pre-put in your order, and then when you sit down, scan your QR code, and we'll send the runner to get you your food and drinks and stuff. And then during the show, we still use the runner card system. I think that, I thought about it after we talked about it. I was like, that would have been a pretty good system if you wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But to do away with the runners entirely is anti-worker and really shitty, because a lot of those workers, we've seen enough of them. A lot of them are teenagers. A lot of them are probably neighborhood kids who this is their job. And it's really, really shitty just to take that away. And also actively go against the entire reason why we like to go to the Majestic is for the fact that nobody's pulling out their cell phone in the middle of the goddamn movie.
Yeah. I mean, there was one person a few rows ahead of me that just had their phone up on up and on their table the entire movie. And I was just like, I can just see your lit up screen this entire time.
It defeats the entire purpose
Fuck this
of,
noise.
yeah. And people are like, well, what about, I'm like, somebody who, you're already in a movie theater full of people. An additional person walking around is not nearly as distracting as a light popping up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I need to look at the menu or something and the lights have dimmed, I keep my thing under the table and everything with the light that they produce over there. That way, nobody's seeing my light pop up. It's meant to be a courtesy, and it's just such nonsense for them to be yeah, we're just basically just like any other movie theater chain that has a dine-in feature.
Yeah.
It loses. I think this is the last vestiges of what was the Alamo.
Yeah. Yep. It's disappointing. It just makes me wish that Alamo would come back.
Yep.
Partner with somebody new or some I wonder if they look at their numbers and say, yeah, Phoenix did good numbers for us, we should open up a theater out there again. Or if they're just numbers weren't great, we're better off sticking to more major markets.
Yeah, I think I look at that and I think to myself, it's also a massive question of because normally they do it off of a franchise model. It's getting the people who own the core franchise, the corporate franchise in Austin, convincing them to open a theater out here would mean
sure. Yeah,
it's such a huge lift. It's not like a corporate entity of we're just going to open up a chain out here. It's that's the whole thing. Majestic 8 was the holding company for for the Alamo stuff here, and then when they lost their license, or they gave it up rather, to not have to pay those royalties anymore, as a cost saving measure, we kept on supporting them. We've seen all of our major movies there for the most part.
I will say, it was funny because they've also completely done away with like the kitschy pre-show stuff that's just like particular kid. It's just full ads now. But one of the ads that played multiple times featured Ross Bryant, who is often featured on Dropout. He was just in a drug commercial for some kind of thing, and I just kept waiting for it to turn like comedic or turn into a Dropout ad or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. But anyway, so yeah, that was the theater experience. And yeah, I imagine the fact that like Harkins pretty much has the stranglehold here in the Arizona market means that it's gonna be tough for, you know, a small franchisee to pick up and be like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do the Alamo thing again. But it's unfortunate. But to the movie itself, The Fall Guy, this is one that, I mean, largely driven by the stars of it, Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. They're fun in pretty much everything they do. This seemingly being a very fun action comedy romance kind of film. Uh, Even if the trailers weren't like, didn't sell me on like the jokes of the movie necessarily. They sold me on the premise of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and the stars and their chemistry were kind of got me across the finish line there. So, so yeah, like the fact that this opened this weekend, I was like, oh, I want to check it out before I go to Disney, and then like forget about it, you know, next week or the following week. And the for those that don't know, the premise of the movie is Ryan Gosling is playing a stuntman, and he basically gets brought into a movie, brought into working on a movie, kind of in a past his prime. The movie kind of opens with him having like a bad injury, and kind of getting out of the game for a while, and a producer kind of brings him back in. And the person directing the movie is Emily Blunt's character, and they have like a romantic past, and it didn't end well, and so there's kind of like a will they, won't they get back together kind of vibe. While he's in here doing stunts and also trying to find the, you know, the star of the movie, who he is the stunt double for, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. The producer is Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso and stuff. And then the other major role that I didn't even know was really in the film going in is like the head of stunts for the production is Duke Winston,
Okay.
aka M'Baku from the
Mm-hmm.
MCU films and stuff like that. And like all five of those performers are great and have a ton of fun, and they're like nailing, you know, everything. And then there is just a ton of um, it is a very meta and inside baseball kind of project and stuff. Like they're constantly on a film set and referencing like the film itself almost. Like there's a line in particular, it was like what if within the movie that we're writing we call out that we have a third act problem in the third act or something? Like what, like can we be that meta on top of it? And it's adding this extra like meta commentary on the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
And they're constantly like, you know, trying to do a big stunt because they're referencing that it's going to be the, you know, it's going to be the Comic-Con trailer in Hall H and stuff like that. And it's very much like taking shots at the big
Yeah.
blockbusterification of things. I mean, the movie is called like Metal Storm or something like that, and it's basically like Space Cowboy versus Alien. I mean, it is so like the movie that they're making is such kind of an afterthought in that the character is only ever referred to as Space Cowboy, and his love interest slash the enemy in the Alien is like Aliana, is her name, and it's just like okay, and it's very much like played as laughs of like the story of the movie is the like will they won't they story of Emily Blunt's character and Ryan Gosling's character and stuff. So yeah, they have a ton of fun like inside baseball meta commentary on movie making and stuff like that. The real showcase I think of the movie is the stunts. Is obviously kind of the thing that they've been out there promoting a ton, including like they I've seen like clips of them celebrating the fact that one of the stuntmen does like a world record breaking stunt in this of
Oh,
like
cool.
8.5, like a car flip rollover kind of thing that rolls 8.5 times. They have a like a meta thing about it in the movie where they're like celebrating the fact that they like, you know, broke a record with when they shoot the stunt in the movie.
Hmm.
And the extra little meta thing there that I thought was hilarious is the driver that actually did the stunt is the one who like puts Ryan Gosling in the car and then comes and like gives him a high five and celebrates afterwards, like, "Hey, you broke the world record!" And it's really that's the guy that broke the world record.
That's awesome.
So yeah, there's a ton of fun little stuff like that. I think a lot of kind of the extras in the movie, or you know, the little featured kind of performers that maybe only have like a line or two are probably just stunt
Hmm.
people that are on the film. Um, but yeah, like there's great car action. There's a lot of great fight scenes and fight sequences, and they do a lot of great stuff. Kind of setting up and very deliberately like how the fights are choreographed. It
Hmm.
is it's fun. Obviously, your main fighter in a lot of the fights is the stunt guy,
Yeah.
and so like when he's going in and preparing, knowing he's about to have a fight with somebody,
Hmm.
he kind of like sets the stage for the fight.
Oh, cool.
Like in particular, there's just one great little moment of um, he's in like a living room and kind of like moves some furniture around so that he basically creates a crash pad,
Oh,
and
nice.
then he and another guy are fighting on like the second, you know, level loft, and he like grabs the guy and they go off. He lands on the crash pad that he created, and the other guy just lands on the floor.
Oh, nice.
And so yeah, just like great little like clever choreography stuff like that is littered kind of all throughout the fight sequences. There's great like boat action and stuff like that, and they make a lot of references to like the Universal Studios stunt show stuff. Um,
Cool.
and then ends up paying off very nicely in how that. And then the third act is like a big action, you know, sequence that is a ton of fun, while also like tying up some of the loose threads of like the mystery of like what happened to the main actor and like where has he been, what's going on, and the will they won't they obviously is all
Hmm.
also, you know, tied in there and a lot of fun. So yeah, a lot of fun in this one. Um, and yeah, I had a great time with it, and I constantly had like a grin on my face of just like that's fun. I like that choice that they made there. Um, and there it like they show in the while the credits are rolling, they kind of do a split screen of the credits of like, okay, on one side the credits are rolling, and then on the other side is like behind the scenes footage of the stunts and
Nice.
stuff.
That's awesome.
Kind of like really celebrating the stuntmen of the film. Um, so yeah, lots of like just lots of fun, and lots of great variety of the stunts. There's one prolonged sequence where Ryan Gosling's character just gets lit on fire time after time after time, kind of out of spite for the breakup. Like the director's like, "Oh, sorry, there was a bump in the dolly. We got to shoot that again. Oh, sorry, there was a buzzing going on. We got to do it again one more time." And just kind of like just constantly just lighting him on fire to to you know put him through that pain because she was, you know, jilted and stuff. So um, yeah, I mean I'll say the like, if anything, the romance subplot of it is fairly thin, but really skates by on the great chemistry of and just
Yeah.
charisma of its leads,
Ryan
and it
Gosling and Emily Blunt,
has the benefit of being
yeah,
able to do that. Yeah,
two incredibly likable, beautiful people. Like, yeah,
yeah,
one of them was Ken, one of them was Mary freaking Poppins.
hmm
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, I had a ton of fun with it. I think you'll have a fun time if you end up getting out to see it. Um, and then yeah, they're like we talked about like, oh, if we go see it, are we gonna do a spoiler cast? And I was like, I don't really think there's like a spoiler cast kind of nature to this movie compared to like some of the other franchise things. There are definitely some spoilery things we could dive into. So like when you do go and see it, I'll enjoy and look forward to having those conversations with you. But overall, yeah, it's just a fun time. And there's a lot of like celebration of movie making kind of stuff in this movie. In particular, as somebody who this is a reference largely for you, and I don't even know how well you're going to get it, but as somebody who grew up going out to like Rawhide and like watching their cowboy stunt show
Oh yeah.
and being like, I want to do that. And like I would run down the halls and pretend there was an explosion behind me and like dive and just like not have a crash pad, just dive onto the carpet of the hallway kind of thing. Like the part of me that was like, I would love to be a stunt performer, that then, you know, went on in college to study like movement classes and do like stunt, like pratfalls and fight choreography and stuff like that. There's definitely a lot of joy to be had in watching this movie because of that stuff. And as somebody, yeah, who loves the Waterworld stunt show at Universal Studios, the Miami Vice stunt show that preceded it. It very much feels like they are potentially aiming to set this up to be the thing that finally replaces the Waterworld stunt show.
Okay.
Of like, there are enough stunts in this that feel like they could like do a Fall Guy stunt show at Universal Studios if this ends up performing well enough, or they want to do it, or even if it doesn't end up performing well enough. I imagine the stunt show at Universal Studios has effectively made more for Universal Studios than Waterworld the film did. So maybe they'll
There you go.
maybe they'll end up doing the same kind of thing with the Fall Guy. But yeah, ton of fun. Just yeah, grinning ear to ear, and yeah, Ryan Gosling's just a ton of fun to watch on screen. Emily Blunt's a ton of fun to watch on screen, and there are some very fun and creative uses of like the choreography for fights and driving sequences and all sorts of stuff there. So yeah, shout out to the Fall Guy. Any questions or anything for me before
No.
we move on?
I like it's pretty straightforward. I'll just have to check it out.
Yep.
You know, sounds like it was a good time.
Cool. All right, then I'm going to throw it over to you to chat Fallout New Vegas, which you really dove back into. I started a little bit of Fallout New Vegas kind of post-show, and then ultimately have switched over to Fallout 4, so that's what I'll spend the bulk of my time talking about. But
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas.
Fallout New Vegas, I mean, Fallout New Vegas is one of my top 5 or top 10 games of all time. So hopping back into it is just joy to begin with. It is, like we talked about it at length in other podcasts and other things, but growing up in the Mojave Desert here in Arizona, growing up spending like my holidays up in Vegas, seeing my dad's family. So, and getting to see a lot more of Nevada than what most people do. Most people, if you go to Vegas, you're flying into Vegas and flying out. Most people, they don't ever really get to see the vastness of the Nevada kind of like. And it's funny because it's
Growing up here, like
yeah.
driving up to Vegas and driving back, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm seeing like the 30 minutes of Nevada that is getting me between the Hoover Dam and Vegas or whatever.
And that is really what's on display for, I mean, the whole Hoover Dam and like that entire like section of Nevada is very much what the set piece is. And growing up, driving through it all the time, growing up, driving through it all the time, growing up. Okay. Growing up and driving through it over summers and Christmas breaks. There's so many motifs and set pieces that I know that. Like I'm familiar with that. And so hopping into it years ago was a blast, and the game just continues to deliver. I don't think it's gotten to a point now where like I'm finding new things. It's like I'm finding the things I've always been able to find.
Mm-hmm.
You've put as many hours into it as I have across, 2 different consoles and on PC. There's a lot to it. And on top of that, like versus you were hopping into it from backwards compatibility on Xbox. I hopped onto it on PC. I have some mods, some very basic, very basic end of mods going on with it, just to kind of like smooth out textures, add additional textures, and then also like some other like just quality of life updates that they bring to it. It still doesn't match, I think, the kind of like flow and fidelity of the kind of like gun and combat gameplay that you get in 4. Like that was a pretty significant upgrade as far as combat goes. To the point where it ties into the kind of like H Bomber guy talk about of like nobody thought to put sights on some of these weapons in Fallout 3, and so carrying over to New Vegas, they don't have sights. Things like that. Also, just like there's just so many great things about the perk system and the way that they have that operating. I even like popped on H-Bomber Guys, what's great about Fallout New Vegas. And I stopped halfway through because I was like, you're just telling me things I already know. This is definitely a great conversation piece for like people who've never played it. And this is like explaining why it's great. I don't need that. I know everything you're going through this.
I mean, it's also like reinforcement. I enjoy watching that video. I enjoy watching his Fallout 3 video, despite I really like Fallout 3 and he very much does not.
Yeah.
But I liked his New Vegas video because of his analysis of like, here's why a lot of these things are great and why they work and all that stuff. And like from a game design perspective, in a more detailed way that I typically think about it. Like it's stuff that like I think about it at a surface level of like I'm having a fun time, and he's like getting down into the weeds of like, here's why you have a good time when you're doing this kind of stuff.
Part of it is like I've overanalyzed New Vegas on my own, and then I've watched dozens of video essays on it. So it is just a matter. And like I think his is probably the best video essay. Probably the most succinct. Most of the video essays I've watched are under like 3-4 hours. Some long ass people talking about every aspect of Fallout New Vegas.
Sure, but his hour-long one is too much for you.
No, I got bored halfway through it because I just wanted to get back in and play the game. That was also part of it. It's like, cool, I could keep watching you talk about this game, or I could hop in and play it. Like right now where I'm at in the game is I've unlocked, I've got the chip back. I'm just spoiling some stuff here, folks. I'm sorry. This is like
we're talking about 12-year-old games or whatever.
I'm sorry, but I've killed Benny, got the platinum chip. I've somewhat sided with Mr. House so I could get the suite that
he gives you.
That he gives you because it's like the nicest suite in the game.
Yeah.
Because it has been touched since pre-war, and so like it has like running water. Like a lot of the places are like dingy and gross, and that suite is like the nicest place in the entire game. And so I love sending my companions back to it. I recently had to send everybody back to it though, because I'm in the middle of doing one of the DLCs. I'm doing the Dead Money DLC. For folks who are familiar with that, I am currently in the casino right now, dealing with that.
Is the Dead Money one the one where you've got like a bomb strapped to your neck?
Yes.
Okay.
It is that one.
Cool.
I'm halfway through that, or more than halfway technically. So yeah, I have everything going on, and I've talked to everybody to like, basically like everybody's on board with our escape afterwards. And so now I just got to execute the final part of our plan with Father Elijah. So have that going on. And then after that, I think I'm going to hop into Old World Blues, have some fun with that one. And then maybe we'll do a little bit more of the main story quest, maybe some side quest stuff with some companions. But let me just say, like, my suite on in the not the Tops Casino, but the, what is it? The Lucky 78?
Lucky 38.
Lucky 38. Yeah. The Lucky 38 Casino, hotel. My Lucky 38 suite is already filled with people because I went around and just recruited everybody, and then it was like, cool, did some quests with you, and now I'm sending you back to the Lucky 38. And so I have like a bunch of folks, and it's great. So
nice. What are your favorite companions to party up with in that one?
Like the classic, of course, is Boone. Boone is just like an OP companion to have. He's the sniper, so if you want to do anything besides a sniper build, he's such a massive compliment to you. On top of that, you have Edie. Edie can kind of pal around with you, even with like other companions, and so that works out well with Edie. And it is just a massive, just like blowing shit up with lasers. It's great. Rex is awesome because he's another like dog meat kind of character, but he's a bit unique in that he's a cyber dog, a former Legion dog that has been like retrofitted with some stuff. So it's a cyber dog instead. Did his quest to get his brain fixed, or rather get him a new brain. The only character I never really bring out with me is Grandma. The super mutant.
Oh yeah.
Lily, I think is what her name is.
Yeah.
But she calls you Jimmy. And it's funny, but I always feel bad about taking her away from her. Like after doing her quest with her, it feels weird to take her away from the resort. She's a super powerful character, melee character, but it just feels weird to take her away because it's like the other characters like we're like there's a journey that we're gonna go on, or like you want to do something out in the wasteland, and it's just for her it's just like, oh no, I never feel comfortable taking her out of the resort because that's just where she's at, that's where her thing is. Um, yeah, Arcade Gannon is a great one. Arcade is awesome.
I as a huge fan of Chuck.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like I loved that like for a summer I got to bring Zach Levi with me as Arcade Gannon, and like in Mass Effect 2 have Yvonne Strahovski
As
aka
Miranda,
Sarah
yeah.
as Miranda as like my companions. I was like, this is great. No notes.
Yep. Arcade Gannon also is like a very prominent early, like, early 2000, like early 2000 teens, gay character prominently, and like not at all like, between him and Veronica, who's voiced by Felicia Day, you have two queer characters who are featured very prominently as, great companions. Yeah, I mean, but like honestly, if I'm gonna like nail it down, like, hey, what's your favorite companion? It's either gonna be Cassidy or it's gonna be Boone.
Have you ever done the quest that like you have to kill Cassidy in?
I've led up to it, and then I didn't go through with it because I liked Cassidy.
Yeah,
So
it's like, what monster would do
yeah,
this?
I was like, maybe we get in there and I can ambush him, and like me and Cass can go back to back and shoot our way out. And it's like, no, that's not how that quest goes down.
No, yeah.
That does not go down that way. And so to fail that quest intentionally, had her wait outside. Then I went inside and I murdered everybody.
Yeah.
And this one, I did the thing where it's like, let's tell the NCR what they did, and now they're going to be held up, and like the Crimson Caravan and the Van Graffs are both going to get ruined by the suddenly easy fix bureaucracy of the NCR just being like, oh, we can like do something quickly about these douchebags who are also like, you look at the other big like corporate entities that control the NCR, and you're talking about other like bigger caravan stuff, and then you're also talking about the gun runners, who the Van Graffs and even the Crimson Caravan have been trying to like steal intellectual property from. So passing that info along makes that good. So yeah, I like Cass just because she's fun. She's a hard drinking, like, rifle wielding gal, and she's a fun one to pop into like hard situations with. And then you have Boone, who is just like an incredibly tragic character that you have to like peel away to find out. Like finding out what happened to him, his wife, their child, the things that he like, the decisions this man has made, and it has left him just like forever tortured, is by far and large like my favorite, like one of my favorite things about him as like this is a character who is like, there's no happy ending for this character, Boone. No matter what future holds for him, it is not a happy ending for him. He is, and I love what ends up happening with him. It's one of those great things. Like, I won't spoil that because you think, oh, this guy's just like a hard ass sniper from the NCR, but he's like dealing with like really terrible traumatic PTSD on top of like the things that happened to his family. And the one person in the world who he thought he could trust and rely on was actually happy that like what happened to his wife like happened to her. And it's brutal. He's a brutal, broken man, and there's no fixing him. And there's something very poetic about that in the Fallout universe. Anywhere else, I think it would be too tragic, but in the Fallout universe, I think it's absolutely perfect. So,
do you have any favorite factions and or locations in Fallout New Vegas?
I'm always going to be, I mean, Good Springs is up there for like one of the best starting locations of all time. The kind of like, town versus gang quest that you get like launched right into from the get-go is a lot of fun and sets up kind of like what this is going to be like here in New Vegas. The strip itself is awesome. But Lucky 38 I love because it's an untouched casino inside. And like Mr. House is who I usually align myself with. I once did a Yes Man playthrough and was very disappointed with kind of like the very final kind of like thing that you find out with that. And so after that, I've just been, it's like, do I like Mr. House? No. But do I trust that at the end of all things, Mr. House is the best possible option? Yes. Mr. House is the best possible option you have for like an independent Vegas. Because of the stuff that happens with Yes Man. I mean, I'll spoil it because it's a 12-year-old game, but at the very end, Yes Man goes, I'm going to go dormant and I'm going to figure out how to no longer be a Yes Man, and then I'll be in charge. And you can't do anything about it. And so it's like, I don't know what ends up happening with that, but okay. Whereas if you side with Mr. House, like,
I mean, he's had 200 years to try and not be a yes man, so I think you're probably fine.
that's fair. Now for me, I do think like Mr. House has like there's things I don't like about there's things about each faction that are just like absolutely like awful. Whether it's the NCRs like being spread too thin, rolling over tribes, and essentially assimilation or death through nicer terms than the Legion gives. But the Legion also is just like a bunch of slavers, misogynists, awful people, and so screw them. You like the NCR wants to bring back the old world, but we're going to install this. I'm like an even older world.
I'm almost surprised because you love being like contrarian sometimes to a fault. So I'm surprised you haven't figured out some sort of like mental gymnastics to be like, here's why the Legion's good, actually.
No, there's no good with the Legion. Right off the bat, like you first run into them and they've crucified an entire town of people, and it's like, how about no? How about like these guys suck right off the bat? And then immediately like I run into their slave camp and I'm like, no, these guys aren't great. The NCR I don't care for just because they're like
because ACAB,
but also like they just generally suck as like a government. They're like, we have like it's like you saw the failures of the old world and you saw let's just do that again. You didn't do anything to put improvements on it, and now there's like getting Congress in and out of session is like a monstrous effort. That's a massive pain. And it's like, okay, so you guys don't have a lot of like the structural thing that you need to be growing as a nation, and eventually you're going to start your own collapse. Like it's very clear that you don't have that there's no national identity, I think is the biggest issue with the NCR. They're like, yeah, I'm from the NCR. It's like, okay, but how many of these, eventually your tribals that you're rolling over are going to rebel because you're just taxing the shit out of them. And they're like, well, they have a representative. It's like, yeah, but like then there's the issues with the corporate interests, the fact that the Brahmin barons in Northern California basically control the government. There's like a whole lot of issues with the NCR, and it's like the NCR is not what's good for Vegas. Vegas being independent and being its own thing is good for Vegas. And whether that's with either your options for me are always options are either Yes Man or Mr. House. And the issues with Yes Man is just kind of like leaves it up to anarchy. Like man with the biggest gun is going to win. And there's no like policy that you're setting. It's just we're independent, but there's no like policy set. There's no forward thinking planning. And I'm not saying like Mr. House is infallible because clearly he's not. There's a reason why he's in the situation that he's in. And he is a like billionaire who's also like a narcissist. So like, I'm not here to be like a Mr. House defender. Years ago, I was a bigger Mr. House defender, but as I've gotten like much more anti-capitalist, I'm not really big on Mr. House.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the like
Mr. House is the libertarian you used to be.
Very much so. Like very much those libertarian ideas, and it's like I still don't know about you, man, but you're the like things will probably turn out for the best if you're in charge. The only thing I make sure to let people know is don't help the NCR with the Kings if you side with Mr. House, because then you get a very sad post-credit reveal.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's New Vegas.
I'll chime in. Some of my favorite, because yeah, like when I booted it up, I made it through Prim, and I started heading over to Nipton, right? Is that where the big dinosaur is, where you get Boone? I didn't make it that far. No, I made it to the town.
So Nipton is the town that gets crucified. Novak is the town.
There we go. Yeah, that's right.
That's where
no vacancy.
Yeah, no vacancy.
I made it to Nipton, where I didn't go inside, but I was like, oh, that's right. Here's where all the people are going to be crucified, and I'll get introduced to the Legion stuff, and opted at that point to bounce over to Fallout 4 instead. But I will say it's just some of my like from my memories of the game. I always enjoy the like going out and doing the boomers stuff. Less so for like the commentary about boomers and more so for they love explosions, and I also enjoy explosions in the Fallout universe, so those are fun. But then also shout out to the solar array, which is just always a very cool location in the game. And I love doing the selfish option of like not powering up the place and just powering up this gun that will let me drop a laser beam on people, and do a lot of damage that way. But yeah, it very much is growing up here and having a closer touchstone to the area was always made New Vegas just fun from a like just an aesthetic perspective even. So yeah, shout out to New Vegas. It is definitely one I wish got like a proper remaster because I'm not patient enough to go in and try and figure out mods and stuff. Hell, you do that on a more regular basis and you have a bunch of pain points trying to get it working. So what the hell am I going to do with that? But yeah. So, one last question for you.
Yeah.
Any favorite vaults in that one? And we don't need to know the numbers, but just like the thing that this vault did.
I mean, the Survivor Vault is always the best one because it's the Survivor experiment where they say you have to vote for your overseer gets killed once a year and you have to vote for a new overseer. The entire environmental storytelling in that vault is top tier, and it leads to just like some of the absolute best possible reveal.
Yep. Yeah. Shout out to that one indeed. I also like the one that does just fully lean into like Vegas, and is like, all right, yeah, we settled everything by gambling, and I think that's one of the ones that like doesn't completely devolve into chaos because there's like the one on the strip that's like it's now a tourist trap kind of thing, but it
It's
was
like a little hotel.
It was a working vault that just eventually people came out and survived, right? So
Well, that's Vault 21.
Yeah.
And House, as soon as the people get out, he seals it up.
Okay.
He seals it up and basically because he's like, I needed workers, and so now I have workers. And so that those become kind of like the first established workers in New Vegas. And then from there, with the NCRs beginning, like for years, that's the people who are there in New Vegas. And then when the NCR is first discovering like the New Vegas area, House picks up on it from his Securitrons, and then he goes to the three largest tribes, brings them in, and that's the Omertas, the what is it, the council or the Fellowmen? I'm trying to remember what they're called, but it's essentially it's the tops, like the guys at the tops, and then it's the White Glove Society in at Gamora, yeah. No, Gamora is the Omertas.
Oh, okay.
Trying to remember. It doesn't matter. It's the fancy one.
Yeah, the fancy one of cannibals.
Yeah. And so like the whole thing about like these are three separate tribes, and he basically brings them in, and they adapt to Vegas very well.
Cool. Yeah, and also shout out to the Wild Wasteland perk, which Cameron has somehow never played with.
Nope.
But is always a ton of fun because you get all sorts of weird little Easter eggy things scattered around your Wasteland experience. Cool. Any final thoughts on Fallout New Vegas before we move over to Fallout 4?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. So yeah, I've been hopping into Fallout 4, specifically the like PS5 version of Fallout 4, which I did not get because of the PlayStation Plus, but I own Fallout 4, so I was able to I have that disc in, and it's like, okay, free upgrade if you have the disc. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. And basically started up a new character. And I'm now at the point where I'm like just about to head into the Institute.
Nice.
And this is another like almost 10-year-old game, so I'm not going to be too like cautious of spoilers or anything like that. But it's definitely fun, kind of like remembering various aspects. And there's like, I don't think I did everything, or like I definitely didn't like investigate every location in my original playthroughs back in 2015, despite it being my game of the year that year. And I don't think I even did all of the different endings. I really probably only did like one, and didn't. Yeah, I don't think I bothered like trying to like reload a save and let me go, do a different faction. I'm gonna be more cognizant of it and try and do that this time around. I still don't like the base building. And here, like, I realized one of the things I really hate about Starfield,
Yeah.
as I've been replaying this, is Starfield. One of the things they came out and were like, well, don't pick up all the junk that you find laying around, like, and you won't have to deal with encumbrance. I'm like, bitch, Fallout 4 basically like requires you to pick up all that shit so you can like take it back and use that stuff for mods and stuff. So shut the hell up. Like,
Hmm.
you've designed your games for encumbrance and like grabbing all of this nonsensical bullshit. Don't try and like pretend you didn't. Stupid Todd Howard. Um so yeah, like doing that and just being like intimately reminded of that as I'm actually going through and like crafting upgrades for my weapons and stuff. Um Shout out to like a couple of the weapons that you get from some of the early quest stuff, like the Deliverer and Righteous Authority, which are just like very OP for like as early as you get them in the game, and then just have continued to stay in my arsenal. I'm up to like level 40 now, I think. Um, I've explored like most of the place, and yeah, I'm basically at the point now where I've built the thing that will get me to the institute, and I just need to actually go to the institute and kind of move forward there. I finally, we talked about this, I think, when we did our spoiler cast. I sought out like, where do I find the Vault Tech guy in the future, and I looked that up and found him. So I literally just met him before we started recording,
Nice.
and sent him back to Sanctuary, which I'm kind of just using as like my main hub in this run. Um, I got I told you I got the Benevolent Leader trophy, which was the one that was like such a pain in the ass
Hmm.
at launch that I was like, I'm never going to bother platinuming this game. But I found some exploits that people have identified on that, given like DLC stuff that got introduced later on that made that super easy. So, hooray. And also, hooray for the fact that I created a save, went and did that, and then reloaded the save so I didn't burn all of the resources, like building out the Red Rocket gas station just to
Nice.
make it a large settlement. I did the same thing with the I think it's Prankster Returns trophy or whatever. The trophy where basically you have to reverse pickpocket a frag grenade or a mine into somebody's pocket. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do this with like somebody at my settlement, and then reload the save. So I don't have to burn the 2 points in pickpocketing that I needed, and also so that I don't piss off my settlers. So yeah, shout out to some of those trophy like things that I did just for a trophy and then reloaded an old save. Another one being like blew myself up with a mini nuke for the touchdown trophy. I went around, got Nick Valentine's like relationship up to max, and he was my buddy for that. We went and did the Eddie Winter stuff, and I'd already made all of the rounds to pick up all the other Eddie Winter holotapes before Nick came to me and was like, here's the one I have for you
Hmm.
that will help you complete this quest. And so I got the fun like dialogue prompt of, oh, I've already got them all. Like, let's go. So we went and did that.
Nice.
And now I'm running around with Kate. And I think, like, if I recall correctly, that's kind of what I ended up doing the first time around too. I just like Kate as a character. I think she's got the fun bite to. It's similar to the Cassidy kind of vibe of like she's, a little more hard edged and will say, like, say it like it is kind of stuff. Um, I went into Vault 95, which is the one where they cleaned everybody up, and then 5 years in, like the Vault Tech person basically like opened a secret compartment that had all the drugs,
Yep.
and basically like chaos reigned immediately, and it's like the I love the like the environmental stuff you find on the computers are like, this is my first entry, it's the 5-year anniversary, so I'm gonna go do my mission today,
Yep.
and I will report back with my findings. And that's the only record you
Yep.
see on the on the computer. So the clear assumption. And then there is another computer where somebody's like, "Fuck you, Vault Tech, for what you did." Like, this was like, and they have kind of a diatribe of the duplicitous
Yeah.
nature of Vault Tech. So I went and did all of that, and I and I did it with Kate as like my companion. We went through and did it, and I went and saw the chair where it's like, hey, you can load somebody in here and detox them, and I was like, I remember that's for a thing, but I
It's
clearly
for
don't have that
Kate.
quest. I hadn't unlocked that quest with her yet. So we cleared out the vault, and then went to like another location, and then she's like, hey, can I talk to you? I need to get off the psycho. And I was like, there it is. All right, let's head back. And like a few, like for the most part, the vault stayed cleared out, but like the gunner guards that were like in
Yeah.
front of the vault still were there, like popped back up and like in respawn, so I had to take them out again. But yeah, like and also all of the doors relocked, so I was like, all right, cool, I'll take the double experience for like unlocking these master lock doors. But yeah, the vault didn't have anybody in it the second time, but I also still got to loot it for like that is a vault. I'm at a point right now. I'm running around. One of the new things that like the new gen upgrades they gave a few quests. One of them is completely borked, and I haven't bothered doing that one yet because I saw that it's completely borked.
Gotcha.
But one of them is like an enclave quest, and basically like you kind of hunt down some enclave remnants and get a like an XO2 set of power armor, like a super high end
Yeah.
set of enclave power armor. So I'm just running around with that. Um, and when I repair that, it needs a lot of aluminum. So I was
Yeah.
very glad to be able to completely re-loot all of the surgical trays and aluminum cans that I had found in that vault before, because those all respawned too. So I was like, woohoo, I'll take the double for this because I did it out of order. But yeah, did you ever do any of the DLC for Fallout 4?
Yeah, I did almost all of it. I didn't finish
Okay.
Nuka World, but that's it.
Yeah, me neither. I went and did the Vault 88 stuff, which is like the Wasteland workshop thing, where you kind of do your own vault experiment, and I completely pissed off the ghoul by not doing the sadistic bits of the experiment. But I had forgotten that like digging deeper in there, you like face off against a Queen Mirelurk, and like there were a couple like legendary death claws, and I was like, thank God I have my fat man with me.
Yep.
Because that would have not been fun otherwise. But yeah, just ultimately having a fun time with the game. Just kind of like trip down memory lane, doing and going to some places that I definitely had not visited before.
Nice.
Like I just went to Spectacle Island, which is definitely something I didn't bother with. And in part because it was like, how the hell do I get over there? And this time I was like, well, I'm running around with a power armor suit, so yeah, I'll just do that. I never used my power armor in my original runs nearly as much as I should have for the amount of fusion cores I've picked up in the game.
That's fair.
Like I'm running around, I still see like in the HUD, I'm like, oh, I still have 56 power cores or fusion cores. Yeah, I'm gonna be fine. So just jumping in the power armor and like walking underwater to get over to the Spectacle Island, and yeah, spoiler, I fought another Queen Mirelurk over there. But also picked up the luck bobblehead, so hey, there we go. Yeah. There was one, it definitely still has the Fallout jank. Fortunately, like right when the Mirelurk like pops up, the Queen Mirelurk over there pops up, like you're in a ship that has a fat man there.
Nice.
And so I didn't have one, I'd had one back at my camp stored, so I just took that one. I was like, all right, cool. But I'm gonna try and like see what my missile launcher does first. And I shot a missile at it, and the game shot me up, a mile into the sky somehow. So I'm just looking down at the map as I'm plummeting to Earth, and I'm like, thank God I'm in the power armor, because this means I'm going to not have any fall damage. And sure enough, I land, and it's like it does the whole big thud and like the ground shakes kind of thing. And then I wandered the 500 feet back over to the Queen Mirelurk to start shooting. Completely missed with the first mini nuke, and I was like, that's annoying because you're a giant ass target. And I watched the slow motion thing of the mini nuke go right into your face, and then it cut back to the view from me and kept going for a while and then finally exploded. I'm like, what the fuck was that? But just doing the aim down sights as a follow up finished that one off. So, so yeah, just having a ton of fun with this. I always like doing like just some of the weird obscure things. Like I have not been doing it, but like I always keep the silver shroud gear with me
Absolutely.
so that I can,
Absolutely.
go strike fear in the hearts of people if I want to be the
The
silver
Silver
shroud.
Shroud's the best goddamn like quest in that
It's
game. It's so goddamn good. I ran around as the Silver Shroud.
I haven't done the quest yet.
Oh,
That's
you
the thing. I
haven't?
just
Okay.
have it because I went to Huber's Comics first
Okay.
and picked it up.
Dude,
So
I
I have it ready to
freaking
go,
love.
but it hasn't.
I love
yeah.
that outfit. The silver machine gun.
Yeah.
The like everything about the Silver Shroud is awesome. And so like when me and Nick Valentine are palling around, we're two detectives.
Yeah.
The Silver Shroud and Nick Valentine,
Mhm.
like synth detective. Like we're a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then when I'm with Kate, it's usually like I'm more in like my power armor stuff, and I'm like going through stuff because Kate's an awesome companion for like heavy duty fighting.
Yeah. I've got her stacked up with like the legendary combat armor
Yeah.
gear pieces that I didn't want, basically, but I still have in my base kind of inventory.
Yeah,
So
she's perfect for that.
She's running around, getting the extra like perks and stuff from that.
She's my wife.
That's pretty
remarried
much
her.
yeah. Where I would like I've done like the flirting stuff, and I feel like the first time around, I probably like pulled that other wedding ring out of and just kind of gave it to her and equipped it on her, kind of thing. I don't think there's like a special dialogue or anything that comes with that, but it was there. Okay.
If you take her down to your wife
Oh, okay.
after
weird.
you are in a relationship, it's a very solemn moment where you get like you can then take the ring off of her. Always take the wedding ring at the like very first part at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And so like at that point, I then turn around and I said like, this is like my wife, like this is who I was. And then I go back to like wherever I first met her, like wherever, or like I take Kate to Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And I kind of like at that point, like then ask her to marry me at that point. Like, here's the ring, marry me. And that's that. And then like we have a home in Sanctuary. And it's a very nice, wonderful thing. I like
along with your buddies Strong and Nick Valentine and Deacon and Paladin Dance and Dogmeat and Cogsworth and just everybody's there. I still got to go get Curie. I got to go to
I got to do
81.
Curie. Or I've done Curie before. I did. For me, I never actually I've never finished Dance's stuff because I never joined the Brotherhood, and I didn't appreciate the Brotherhood's kind of.
You don't have to like you can get him basically as a recruitable person when the Pridwin comes. And yeah, you have to start down the Brotherhood quest line, but you don't have to like finish it or anything. You can basically just have him as a party member. I mean, he'll probably once I start siding with other people that are not Brotherhood, he'll probably be like, peace, I'm out, fuck you.
Well, if you ever want to help,
if
you want to help the railroad, the Underground Railroad, that's a problem.
Yeah. So yeah, just having fun. Fallout 4. I do always need to be better about like dropping off the things that I hoard at Sanctuary Hills.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much always like I go to a couple places and I'm like, all right, we're full up. I'm gonna fast travel back to Sanctuary Hill, go to the workshop and just like drop everything in there. Maybe mod some weapons, repair power armor, and then head back out on the road and head off to another a new thing. I need to do. I still need to go to the flying ship. That's a fun one. That not the Pridwin, the HMS whatever. That's like captained by robots now. That's always a fun sequence. That I'm like, I gotta go do that. I do like. So if you never did the Brotherhood, does that mean you never like fly to the Pridwin, or you never?
Not rid of the Pridwin.
Okay,
Never.
There are some fun just gameplay sequences there, where basically like you board a vertibird and you're just manning a minigun, and like there's one where you're going to like for the Brotherhood, you're going to go secure the place where basically Fat Mans were developed. And mini nukes were developed, but it's been overrun by super mutants, including a behemoth. So like the vertibird flies you over there and you just kind of circle it and you're gunning down the behemoth from the sky. Is the quest
called Fortunate Son? Because it should be if it's not.
I don't think so, no. Maybe. I don't know.
Bethesda, you got the money. Get Fortunate Son. Like, darner, as you're flying with the vertibird doing that.
Yeah.
Missed
Um,
opportunities.
but yeah, so that's fun. I forgot how much I enjoy how much more alive the world feels, like especially once the Pridwin and the Brotherhood show up, where it is like, oh, I'm just running around and yeah, a vertibird is shooting down and they're engaging with like death claws and
Yep.
a couple guys in power armor drop and oh, super mutants are firing back and boom, the vertibird is now crashing and I need to not be in the range of the explosion kind of thing. Yeah, just enjoying like yeah, all of those like oh you guys are gonna help take out this death claw, cool, I'm gonna get at least one shot off so I get the experience when it dies. Yeah, even if I'm
Yep.
not the one that deals the killing blow. But yeah, just a ton of fun. Like always nice just kind of existing in that world, especially in the experiences that I'm interested in. Like I have still zero interest really jumping into a Fallout 76 because that's not
I gave it a
particularly
shot.
my kind of vibe and game. I
Yeah.
like if that were a single player experience, um like I feel like I would love the setting of that. But yeah, that was like the beginning of them going down the path and I'm not interested in following them in
Yeah.
terms of
You can be like single player, but for
yeah,
now it feels weird because before the initial project of Fallout 76 was it was supposed to be about base building and settlement building and all this stuff is like you're retaking the wasteland as kind of like the 76 initiative. And it turned and now they're like, oh, people didn't like that, let's go ahead and make it more like an actual Fallout game. And I felt very split between like I'm like I like the idea of doing like a Fallout, like I like the style of things, I like the gameplay and gunplay of it. It's cool, but a there's a soul, like a soulish narrative that's just missing from that game. Like the narrative of soul, like the focus point of the characters, like you're retaking the wasteland, but now that I'm out here, oh, there's already people who are out here doing stuff, settlements of people who are like rebuilding and doing what they're doing, and like that's cool.
yeah, I mean that was always their justification of like here's why there aren't NPCs is because you guys are the first ones out of the vault. I'm like, okay, but like in in Fallout 1 there were people outside of the vaults that like were out there and surviving,
Yeah,
so definitely seems and in every other location we've gone to, yeah, we might be the first person coming out of that vault, but like the world has moved on and there are settlements and raiders and all this stuff. And so for there not to have been that kind of stuff in the the Appalachia Mountains area of Fallout 76, I was like, that's just you didn't know how to design that well, so you backed into this kind
well,
of
it's
explanation.
having a lot of NPCs is counterintuitive to your sort of like Minecraft, like crafting,
Sure,
building world open worldscape.
but it's quite intuitive to an
Fallout.
open world RPG and a Fallout game. And yet, like, oh, people that will give me quests. Okay, yeah, I should have people that give me quests in these kinds of like imagine Final Fantasy 14 with no NPCs.
Yeah, it really is like a difficult game to kind of like nail down.
Yeah,
I think it's in a good place now for the people who have fun playing it, but it really is about that multiplayer experience because otherwise it's not very
not balanced well for
it's not balanced well or interesting
yeah.
outside of that. So
Yeah, so not eager to jump into Fallout 76, but having a fun time back in the Commonwealth, hanging out with Kate and Nick and the crew. Also, shout out Dogmeat, especially like I ran with Dogmeat for like the first good chunk of the game, really until I got Nick, and then as soon as I started having Nick around and he judges when I pick up shit, I was like, this is why I kept Dogmeat around, and fuck you, Nick. Yes, I'm picking up this junk because I need to take it to freaking repair my shit. Like, don't be the Todd Howard insert character in here of like, why are you getting over encumbered? Shut the fuck up. You designed it this way, dick. Anyway, that clearly has triggered me more than I thought. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of That Nerdy Site Show, our all fall extravaganza of the Fall Guy, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. If you're jumping into Fallout or have been jumping into Fallout again, hope you're having fun with it. So yeah, let's go around our little tables here and give any plugs, any shout outs. Cam, you can follow Cameron at RevCabot. What do you want to give any shout outs to there, Cam?
Give a shout out to, you're going on your regular Disney trip, and so if you guys want to check it out, Trevor did a Behind the Attraction, the latest episode from them. He did a review on that D Plus show. So if you are a fan of his previous solo episodes when he's been going over those, go check that out.
Indeed, yep. This one was all about the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the wildest ride in the wilderness. Always, I'm the Disneyland nerd, so it's always fun kind of getting the behind the scenes little nuggets of these attractions and rides and stories and stuff like that. So, yeah, shout out to that. You can follow me at Trevor J Starkey. And speaking of that. D Plus show, I think this next week's show will probably be doing Tales from the Empire, Tales of the Empire, I forget what it's called, which actually came out the day like yesterday as we were recording this.
Yeah, I almost actually started watching it.
I was gonna say I was like, oh, I should watch this before I go on my trip, so I don't have to like come back, watch it, and do the doc all in one day. So maybe I'll sit down and watch those episodes tonight before, like while I'm packing. Maybe that sounds like a plan. I'll do that while I'm packing later. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That'll be next week's episode. And then we got like X-Men 97 is going to be ending in a couple weeks. We've got Doctor Who on Disney Plus. So I feel like that's going to be a good episode for us to look at and tackle. So we got some good potential content coming up here on That D Plus show. So stay tuned for that. You follow all of us over at That Nerdy Site or go to thatnerdysite.com for all the latest from us. Once again, if you liked what you heard, please remember to rate, review, like, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends, all that fun stuff. Thank you for listening. As always, stay nerdy and be good to each other.